Hey everyone, welcome back. It's really exciting to say that today we're going to be checking out Champagne Supernova. It's been a long time coming, this one. I've put a lot of hours into it. I've changed it and chopped it about 1,000 times. Anyway, we've got a final cut of it now. Let's check it out. Let's kick off this monster of a lesson by checking out some of the chords. We're going to have a look at the introduction and verse chords. It's going to be nice and simple. I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with this, but if not, I'll just refresh your memory. It just goes like this. So, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, we're going to be playing an A sus2 to start. And we're going to anchor that chord down, and the only thing we're really going to change is going to be the bass notes. So we're starting with the A, then we're going to throw on our pinky finger for that sort of G bass note. And we're going to take it down one fret to the F sharp. And the E bass note. And that's all there is to it.
How many special people change? How many lives are living strange? Where were you when we were getting high? Slowly walking down the hall, faster than a cannonball. Where were you when we were getting high? Someday you will find me conquering the landslide.
The second thing on the list for us to do is check out the introduction lead guitar. I'm going to play the example and then we're going to break it down. So that was my example. Hopefully it gives you a few ideas in case you just want to mix it up a little bit. Anyway, I'm going to play you phrase number 1 and then we're going to break it down. We're going to start by sliding into the 6th fret of the G, 5th fret of the B. Then we're going to do a harmonic at the 12th fret of the B. And then we're going to hammer back on to the 9th fret going to the 11th on the G and play the 10th fret of the B. We're then going to pause for a while and then we're going to go back to the 9th fret of the G, hammering back onto the 11th, playing the 10th fret of the B, going back to the 9th fret of the G, hammering onto the 11th and playing it by itself again. We're then going to pause a while and then we're going to play it again and climb up to the 11th fret, 10th fret of the B, and this time we're going to hammer on and pull off the 12th fret of the B and play the 11th fret of the G, going back to the 10th fret of the B. In full, phrase number 1 sounds like this. Phrase number 2 is largely going to be based around our kind of 9th, 10th and 11th frets again, and it's just going to sound like this. To start this, we're going to be the 9th fret of the G, we're going to hammer onto the 11th, play the 10th fret of the B, We're then going to go back to the 11th fret of the G. We're going to pull it off to the 9th and then put it back onto the 11th and play the 10th fret of the B once more. If you put those two parts together, we get this. We're then going to play the 10th fret of the B another time, and we're going to hammer on and pull off the 12th fret of the B and land at the 11th of the G. Just like that. We're going to finish off phrase number 2 by doing this repeating lick. Going from 9 to 11, 10th of the B, 9 to 11, 10th from the B, so on and so forth, and then we're going to finish by going 9 to 11 and sliding down into phrase number 3. Phrase number 3 sounds like this. So we're going to start this by letting ring out an A chord and playing this little riff, going from the 2nd fret of the D, hammering onto the 4th, and then 2nd of the G. And then we're immediately going to go straight back up to the 9th fret, and we're going to do this similar repeating line, going from 9 to 11 on the G, 10th of the B, 9 to 11, 10th of the B, then finishing by going 11th of the G. We're then going to do another A chord and repeat the riff again. And then to finish, 6th fret of the G, 5th on the B, then 4th fret of the G, 3rd on the B, and then 2nd of the G.
Special people change. How many lives are living strange? Where were you when we...
So we're now going to play what I like to call the lead guitar introduction part 2. It's a bit of a weird one. I've sort of mixed two guitars into one, sort of Frankenstein them together. You'll see what I mean when I play the example in a second. But this is something that they wouldn't have done on the record, but it's something that I've done just to, you know, make sure we've got a definitive lead part and a definitive rhythm part. Anyway, check this example out and then we'll break it down after.
Slowly walking down the hall, faster than I can evolve. Where were you while we were getting high? Someday you will find me caught beneath the landslide in a sharp and supernova in the sky. Someday you will find me caught beneath the landslide in a sharp and supernova, a sharp and supernova in the sky. Wake up the dawn and ask you why. I dream a dream.
So as you can see there, I was playing an A sus2. And if you've got a tremolo that you can add on just subtly, that's a great idea. Then we're going to throw over the bass note, which is going to be our pinky finger going to that 3rd fret of the E, G bass note. Then we're going to take it down 1 fret to the F sharp. And then we're going to take it off to the open E. And then we're going to do this sort of quick bridging riff. It goes like this. We're going to play the open A, go to the D string, 2nd fret, we're going to hammer onto the 4th, play the 2nd fret of the G, back to the 2nd fret of the D, hammer onto the 4th again, 2nd fret of the G, and the 3rd time we're going to go 2nd fret of the D to the 4th, and then we're going to jump straight into the next A sus2. It's quite a quick jump that, it goes like this.
Special people change. How many lives are lived?
coming out of that introduction and transitioning into the verse lead guitar, we've got a little melody to play still, and that just goes like this. Starting all the way up at the 9th fret and 10th frets of the G and B, this is going to be familiar territory. We're going to play them together now instead of singular notes, getting that sort of dyad effect. We're going to hammer on our ring finger to the 11th of the G. Then we're going to play them by themselves again. And then we're going to take that down to an A sus2. And then we're immediately going to go straight back up to that 9th fret and play a familiar line again. Starting at the 9th fret of the G, going to the 11th, 10th fret of the B, back to the 9th of the G, hammering on to the 11th, and playing it by itself again. We're then going to go down to the 2nd fret and play this line. Going from the 2nd fret of the D up to the 4th, 2nd fret of the G, then we're going to play it again and hammer on and pull off the 4th fret of the G. And then we're going to go back to the 2nd fret of the D and hammer onto the 4th. I'll do that again. And to finish, we're going to play this. Again, 2nd fret of the D, going up to the 4th, 2nd fret of the G. Then we're immediately going to go straight back to the 2nd fret of the D, hammer onto the 4th, and back to the 2nd. And then we're going to slide up on the G all the way back up to the 9th fret. And that'll transition us nicely into the verse.
Someday you will find me caught beneath the landslide in the champagne supernova, the champagne supernova in the sky. Wake up the dawn and ask you why. A dream of dreams, you never die.
Right then, so we're now going to check out the verse lead guitar, and this is my sort of interpretation of it. Again, smashing a couple of guitars into one. Hope you enjoy it. It's just going to sound like this.
Wake up the dawn and ask you why. A dream of dreams, you never dies. Wipe that tear away now from your eyes. Slowly walking down the hall, faster than I can go. Where were you when we were getting high? Someday you will find me caught beneath the landslide.
So for this, like so many times before, we're starting by ringing out that A sus2. I like to accent that open E and open B there. And then we're going to play this melody. Going from the 2nd fret of the D to the 4th, and then 2nd fret of the G, hammering on pull off the 4th fret. And that'll transition us nicely into the first bass note. And that part I played there follows a really specific pattern. We're going to start by having that G bass note, like I said. We're then going to play the 2nd fret of the G, which hasn't moved from the last part. Then we're going to play the bass note again, open E, open B, and then we're going to change the riff slightly. We're going to go 2nd fret of the D, going up to 4th, and then 2nd fret of the G. So again, just to recap, we've got the bass note there, the G, 2nd fret of the G, back to the G bass note, open E, open B, and then the riff. It goes like this. And then we're going to do the exact same pattern for the F sharp bass note. And for that you can either choose to play your index finger or your thumb for the F sharp, whatever's most comfortable. And then we're going to play the E bass note, and for that simply we're going to play the open E, 2nd fret of the D, open E, and then slide up 6th fret on the G, 5th fret on the B. And then we can start it again.
Wake up the dawn and ask her why. A dream of dreams, she never dies. Wipe that tear away now from your eye. Slowly walking down the hall, faster than a cannonball. Where were you when we were getting high? Someday you will find I'll be the last time in a sharp.
So now we're going to check out the chorus chords, and it's going to be a nice fun one this. We're going to be starting with that A sus2. Then we're going to switch over to a full G chord. Then we're going to do a weird one. We're going to do D with an F sharp in the bass. If you're not familiar with that one, we're just making a sort of D5 shape. We're just going to put the index finger there, I like to do, or you could do thumb on the 2nd fret there of the E. And then we're going to go to an E. And that's the first part of our chorus. Let's just get that going. For the second part of our chorus, we're going to hold on a G and then an A. And then for the second time round, we're going to go back to the G, hold on the G, go to a D, and then an E. Okay, so we're now going to check out the chorus lead guitar. I've done a little example for you and then we're going to break it down. Check this out. So phrase number 1 is going to be a repeating lick, and that's going to be something that we should be fairly familiar with. Just goes like this. Going going from the 9th of the G to the 11th, 10th on the B, round and round we go. Then in between that, we're going to hold on the 10th of the B, and then we're going to do it again, hold on the 10th of the B, and that'll take us nicely into phrase number 2. Moving swiftly on to phrase number 2, it's going to go like this. We're going to be starting at the 2nd fret of the D, going up to the 4th, and then we're going to go a bit back and forth between 2nd of the G, 4th of the D, 2nd of the G again. Just like that. We're then going to go straight back to the 2nd of the D, back up to the 4th, and then twice on the 2nd fret of the G. After that, we're going to go into a bend on the 4th fret of the G. We're going to play it once and bend it up, and then we're going to play it twice while it's bent, and that just sounds like this. We're then going to bring it down and play it unbent, and then go 2nd fret of the G, 4th of the D, back to the 2nd fret of the G again. We're then going to move straight on to phrase number 3, and it's another repeating lick up the 9th fret with a subtle difference, and it just goes like this. So again, for that we're going to be going from 9 to 11 on the G, 10th of the B, and then we're going to pull off 12th fret of the B and go to the 11th of the G. And we're just going to repeat that twice. And that'll take us nicely into phrase number 4, which is going to be a repeat of phrase number 1. The only thing to remember with that one is that when we finish it, we're going to play twice on the 11th of the G and slide down, getting ready to go into our sort of post-chorus riff. So like I said, there's a bit of a post-chorus riff to play. We're going to check out the example first, and then we're going to break it down. So we're going to be starting that with an open A string, and then we're going to slide into the 6th fret of the G, 5th on the B. And you can choose to keep repeating that part if you want, but I prefer to follow the bass notes, going to the G bass note, down to F sharp, and then E. And then we're going to play a riff down at the 2nd and 4th frets. We're going to start at the 4th fret of our G, we're going to bend it up and down, and then we're going to go 2nd of the G to 4th of the D, 2nd of the G, 4th of the D. And then we're going to go to the 2nd fret of the A, hammer onto the 4th, same thing on the D, 2nd fret of the G, and then we're going to pull off 4th fret back to 2nd, and then start it again. And to finish, we're going to slide up, 6th on the G, 5th on the B. We're now going to check out the verse 2 lead guitar, and I'm just going to play the example and we're going to break it down.
How many special people change? How many lives are living strange? Where were you when we were getting high? Slowly walking down the hall, faster than I can walk. Where were you when we were getting high?
Just like how we did in the first verse lead guitar, we're going to be using the bass notes as a sort of anchor to do our little riffs. We're going to start off the open A, and we're going to hang right to the end of this note, and then we're going to do our riff, which is going to go from the 2nd fret of the D going to 4th. Same thing on the G string, 2nd to 4th. It goes like this. Going straight into the next bass note, which is going to be our G bass note, and we're going to slightly alter the riff. We're going to go 2nd to 4th, 2nd on the G, and then back 2nd to 4th on the D. Same thing again, and then open E, and then we're going to slide into the 6th fret of the G, 5th of the B. And then we're going to go around the progression again with slightly different riffs again. Open A. We're going to do this. Go from 2nd fret of the D to 4th, 2nd to 4th on the G, and then 2nd to 4th, 2nd to 4th on the D, into the first bass note, taking it down to F sharp, and our last variation, we're going to go 2nd to 4th, 2nd on the G, and then we're going to change the timings. We're going to do sort of half time, 4 to 2 on the D, going into the chorus.
How many special people change? How many lives are living strange? Where were you when we were getting high? Slowly walking down the hall, faster than I can walk. Where were you when we were getting high? Someday you will find me, can't believe the landslide.
We're now going to check out the lead guitar for chorus 2. Rather than teach it note for note, I'm just going to show you the example. It's going to be sort of variations of things that we've already done in chorus 1, and then we're going to swiftly move on into the solo. Check this out. So before we take a look at the solo, I thought we should just mention the chords behind it. It's going to be slightly different to the chorus. It's just going to go like this. We're going to start off the A sus2, then we're going to go to the G like usual, same thing with the D, with the F sharp and the bass, and then we're going to do F and then G, and it just goes like this. so the time has finally come to check out the guitar solo for Champagne Supernova. It's been a long time coming, this one, so I hope you enjoy it. Right, so we're not going to mess about, we're going to jump straight into phrase number 1, and it just goes like this. Okay, so we're going to be starting that at the 7th fret of the G and B strings. I like to use my middle and ring finger, it's up to you how you do it, and we're going to bend it up and down just a few times. As we come out of that, we're going to go to the 5th fret of the G, going to the 7th of the D. We're then going to climb back up, going from the 5th of the D up to 7, and then do a bit back and forth from the 5th of the G to the 7th of the D. And then we're going to go to the 7th of the G, and then we're going to play it another time and bend it up and bring in our index finger to the 5th fret of the B there, and that just sounds like this. When we're in this position, we're then going to play the bent note again and bring it down, and we're going to do 2 pull-offs to the 5th fret of the G and land at the 7th of the D, and that's our phrase number 1. To review, it's just going to go like this. Moving on to phrase number 2, it's going to be a bit simpler this one, and it just goes like this. We're going to be starting at the 5th fret of the D, going to the 7th, and then we're going to do again a bit of familiar back and forth between the 5th fret and 7th frets. This time we're going to bar the G and B on the 5th fret, and then play the 7th fret of the D by itself, and it's just going to go like this. So that's going to be 5th fret of the G and B to 7 to 5 to 7. After that, we're then going to go back to our barred 5th fret and play it another 2 times, and then play the 7th fret of the D 3 times in a sort of staggered time. It sounds like this. We're then going to go to the 5th fret of the A, going to the 7th, 5th fret of the D, and then climbing down 7 of the A, 6 to 5. To review, phrase number 2 sounds like this. Phrase number 3 is going to sound like this. So we're going to be sliding into the 13th fret of the B, pulling off to the 10th fret, going back to the 13th, and then we're going to move our hand down to the 10th fret, so we've got a ring finger now at the 10th fret, and then do the same thing. We're going to go 10th fret to 8 to 10. We're then going to bend up on the 10th fret of the B, bring it down, and then play the 8th fret hammering onto the 10th fret, and that sounds like this. In context, it goes like this. We're then going to pause and slide back in to our 10th fret of our B, do a pull off, and then bend up again, and repeat the same thing we did before, hammering onto the 10th fret of the B. To review, phrase number 3 is going to go like this. We're now going to move on to phrase number 4, where our licks are going to be quite high up the neck now. Check this out. So we're going to be starting at the 17th fret of the B. We're going to hammer on to the 20th fret, which is something I'd never thought I'd say, and then we're going to go to the 17th fret on the E there. After that, we're going to bend up and down on the 20th fret of the E. We're going to bend it up and down, go to the 17th fret of the E, then to the 20th fret of the B, back to the 17th of the E. And that sounds like this. We're then going to go back to the 20th fret of the B. We're going to pull it off to the 17th fret and put it back on and go into 2 bends. So far the phrase sounds like this. We're going to finish phrase number 4 by going back to the 17th fret of the E, and then we're going to bend up on the 20th fret of the high E, bring it down, and then we're going to go to the 17th fret, hammering and pulling off the 20th fret. To review, phrase number 4 sounds like this. Phrase number 5 is going to sound like this. Starting at the 15th fret of the high E, going to the 17th fret, back to the 15th, sliding down to the 12th, going to the 15th fret on the B, 12th fret on the E, back to the 15th fret on the B. We're then going to play that another time and go down to the 12th fret of the B. I'm going to use our index finger to bend a little bit up and down and land at the 14th fret of the G. We're then going to hammer on from the 12th fret of the G going to the 14th, and then go to the 13th fret of the B going back to the 14th of the G. To review, phrase number 5 sounds like this. We're now going to take a look at phrase number 6, and this is going to be a nice simple one. It just goes like this. So for this, as you can see, we're around the sort of 12th and 14th frets of our G. We're going to be doing a lot of kind of repeating licks here. We're starting with the first group of 3, as I like to call it. It goes like this. Then we've got the second group of 3, with a bend there at the end on the 14th fret, and the last group of 3, playing the 13th fret there of the B at the end. We're now coming to the end of the solo with phrase number 7, and it just goes like this. We're going to start at the 12th fret of the D, hammering on to the 14th. Same thing on the G string. 13th of the B. Then we're going to pull off 15th, going back to 13, and land at the 14th of the G. And we're going to do a bit of back and forth after this between the 14th of the G and the 13th of the B. It goes like this. We're going to go 14th of the G going to 13th of the B. And then we're going to go 14th of the G to 13th of the B to 14th of the G. In context. And to finish. 13th of the B, hammer on and pull off the 15th, landing on 14th of the G. Okay, so that was my lesson on Champagne Supernova by Oasis. I really hope you've enjoyed it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.